BKFC KnuckleMania 5, Philadelphia. Patrick the Brick Brady. How we doing, man?
Jake, what's going on, brother? Good to see you again, man. Good to see you.
Good to be here, dude. Hell of a fight week in Philadelphia. I'm going to start with the cliche question. You're on the card fighting at Wells Fargo Center.
Yeah, man.
As a Philly guy, you have Philly kids. Like, what is this like? Just explain it if you can.
I've brought my kids to Flyers games. They've been to Sixers games, right? We've been to monster truck rallies there, right? Jurassic Park, right? So many things, man. I've made memories there with my kids, and Saturday night we get to make another one, man. And it's going to be centered around fighters, myself included. So, yeah, man, it's a pretty big deal.
And I guess just like what's the buzz been around town? A lot of the guys are coming in. They're only here this week. You've been here for your whole life. Yeah. So months leading up to it, like what's the talk?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as people heard Wells Fargo, the volume got turned up on this event. An arena of that magnitude, immediately people start thinking about the grandiosity of it, right? And it's a big event, man, and I'm being told that 17,000 people already, and I heard that there's only 500 sub 500 tickets left on Ticketmaster. So, yeah, it's a big event, man. I'm super excited to be a part of it.
And headlining the card, Eddie Alvarez. I know you've been training over there at his new gym. Mm-hmm. What's that been like? Just the intensity with you, him. I know Cody Russell trains there, a bunch of guys on the card. How's it like been training together, preparing for this?
I mean, Eddie's he's a veteran, and he's not just a veteran of, combat sports, MMA or bare knuckle. He's a veteran of the game, right? Like he's a veteran of the fight game. He knows the nuances of like what to say, what to do, when to do it, right? And he plays the game, and he plays it well, and he's set himself up for a pretty good retirement, right? Oh, yeah. And he's sitting pretty right now, so he's an example for a lot of the young fighters now. Like obviously, I'm not exactly a part of that same group by design, but that he's laid out a footprint for the Philadelphia mixed martial artist who wants to try to, procure themselves a future financially. So, being around Eddie, picking his brain, and, obviously along with the bare knuckle, he's got some insight, right? He's been in some bangers. So he's got some insight as to what technique works, and, and it's good just to be around him. So, yeah, man, that's exciting because I didn't know him previous to this. I mean, obviously I knew his name, right? Sure. But like we didn't know each other personally, and it's funny. Last night we were texting like late last night, and I sent him a picture of me with my feet up with my leg compression sleeves on. He said, "Ah, shit, that reminds me. I gotta pump the wheels or something like that." He sent me back, and he sent me a picture of him on the couch with his legs in compression. So that was pretty cool to be on that type of communication level with, a legend like him. You know what I mean? He's a legend of not just the Philadelphia area. He's a fucking legend. There's only so many UFC Bellator champions in existence, right? Because Bellator's gone, and there's only so many of those guys out there.
And when we have talked before many times, you have made it a point that you fight for, I guess for lack of better words, the glory. Like you like to prove this to yourself. You like to test yourself. Is that the case here again?
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, man. It's, I don't know. I'm maybe people get sick and tired of hearing it, right? And maybe even some of the professionals, some of the guys who fight at the higher level, they maybe look at me like, this fucking asshole. Why does he keep saying I'll fight for the money? But like, the fact of the matter is that like there's guys out there that are trying to secure a future in the UFC. Sure. They're looking for a place at the table, right? There's a lot of those guys. There's guys on this card looking for a place at that table. I don't give a shit about a place at that table, right? I don't give a shit about a place at the table in the BKFC, right? Like if it comes, right? Great. Like, but at the end of the day, the only thing I care about is getting in there and finding out what I'm made of. Like that's the real. Like that's the real. I don't care about gold belts and fucking big paychecks and logos that say UFC on them. All that shit's great. I get it. I like it. Like, look, man, if they called me tomorrow and gave me a short notice fight in UFC, yes, here I come. Absolutely. But, like, for me, that's not the goal.
Right.
And that's the goal of a lot of these guys, and understandably so. But that's not what I'm trying to accomplish here. What I'm doing is a little bit different. And I think that makes me scarier than a lot of the guys, right?
Nothing to lose, so to speak.
Nothing to lose, right? Nothing to gain other than getting my hand raised. Like, that's the only thing I care about. And, yeah, that makes me dangerous.
Now, I know Mrs. Brady loves to watch you fight. Is she going to be in attendance? Will the kids be in attendance?
Oh, boy, yes. My wife, Kirsten, I love you, baby. This was a tough one on her, man. This was a really tough one, not just on her, but like on the family around me. A lot of sacrifices were made. A lot of time away from my boys, which hurts because I love them and they need their dad. But this was something that was for me, and it needed to be done for me. And it came at a cost to the rest of my family, and I'll be forever thankful for that. To them. And, you know, my son Liam's been saying to me, Dad, after the fight, are you going to do this? And after the fight, are we going to do that? And it's been a lot of after the fight. And I'm excited to show what all of the sacrifice has been for. And to answer your question, yes, they will be there. My 13-year-old Colin will be there. My 10-year-old Liam will be there. My wife will be there. Friends, family, everyone will be there. The 3-year-old's not going to be there because he'll be hanging from the rafters. He'll climb up on the ceiling.
I see him on Instagram. Yeah.
So we don't trust him in big buildings yet.
Well, let's talk about this fight.
Yeah, man.
Zachary Kalmus. What are your thoughts on him? Have you seen him before? Like, how do you think this fight goes? Just give me your thoughts on the entire experience coming up.
Yeah, I mean, Zach's a tough mamma jamma, right? Like, he's tough. He's 5-2. He's on a 4-fight win streak. And he's been finishing everybody who steps in front of him. And he's been finishing them with a tenacity and a ferociousness that has been unparalleled. He's made a name for himself in bare knuckle, right? Like, it hasn't been with, like, super technical things, and he's not doing anything that, like, people are looking at and saying, wow, he's going to be great. What they're saying is like, wow, that was fun to watch, right? And the difference between someone like that and someone like myself is I've been around high-caliber fighters, and I've been around people of technique, and I've been training with people who you don't use the word ferocious about, right? You use words when you refer to Chris Dawkins as clean boxing, right? Like accurate punches. Mm-hmm. Kyle Dawkins, you don't hear his name and think he's ferocious. You think he's calculated.
Well, he got that elbow knockout. I mean,
get that elbow knockout, right? Was that here?
No, that was at 2300. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I saw him fight and win here too, right? So, but when the guys that I'm putting myself around, you don't hear ferocious, right? John Jones, you don't think ferocious.
I do as a 165-pound man, but I understand what you're saying, sure.
Yeah, but right, like that's not the word that comes to mind.
Right.
Technical. So technical, right? Yeah, right. Like words like that, and my opponent is contrary to myself, right? So I think what we're going to see play out here with bare knuckle is you're going to see what happens when ferociousness and
when grit meets grind.
It sounds cool, but yeah, he's not. Look, he's a wild man, right? And wild men win fights sometimes, right? Especially in this sport. But you're going to find out when a wild man meets a tactical person who's going to box with him. And look, man, I got a wild side to me too, right? So, like, it's, I've been known to, like, get hit and then just put my chin down and come forward. It's happened, right? So I think this is one of the more exciting fights on the card. And I think its place on the card is indicative of that, right? So we're the fourth to last fight.
Yeah, 3 after you.
Right. So and then we have Sterling's fight, and then the heavyweight championship. Right.
Do you have your eyes on that for a potential next fight?
Of course. I mean, look, I have one fight in front of me, right? But yeah, I mean, why not, right? But again, going back to what we said before, that's not the goal. That's not the plan, right? If it happens, great, let's do it. Let's strap up, right? And if not, I'm okay too, right? Like at the end of the day, I'm doing pretty good, man.
Well, and I ask about the title because you were just working with the GOAT, John Jones, ahead of his 309 preparation. So tell me a little bit about that. I haven't really even talked to you about that, but I know he many times shouted out his entire training team during the fight week.
Yeah, I think the one thing and the most important thing that I've been able to extract from John and being around him was that I've been able to use, right? Not the only thing that I've gotten from him, but the thing that I've been able to use the most is how he operated his camp, right? And how his itinerary, everything was calculated, everything was optimized, like everything.
Very structured.
Very structured, and he didn't do nothing was wasted, right? And I've been able to use that and being around that and implement it in my own camp. And working with Chris Dawkins, Kyle Dawkins, and John Mercurio, we've been, and also Justin, right, with Diamond Striking, we've been able to really hone in on what it is that my opponent does and what I do, and kind of come up with a good game plan as to how we can come out Saturday night with my hand raised.
My last question for you. Do we see you back in MMA ever? Or is it just BKFC forever?
I'll go where the wind blows me, brother. I would love to go out there for Art of War again and defend my title. And who knows what goes from there. But I'll be 41 in February, right? And, heavyweight, you can be older at heavyweight, but going back to some of the conversation that we had earlier in the interview with the sacrifices from my family and everything that's involved in that stuff weighs heavy, man. And it's a costly toll, right? It's a costly toll. I just had a daughter, right? So
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. And I don't know that I want my daughter Finley seeing this. You know what I mean? Like, it's one thing to know your dad did it, right? Like, I watch a YouTube video. It's another thing to see your dad not be able to pick you up after a hard training session, right? Like, that's a little different. So, everything's, all of those things are kind of taking into account when making decisions like that. But to answer your question, sure, yeah, absolutely.
Patrick's always game for anything. Before I get you out of here, Patrick, anything you'd like to say? The whole city behind you, fans across the world, what do you got to say?
Just thank you to everyone. Thank you to my support system that's been around me. Thank you to my wife, my kids, my team, my sponsors, everybody. It's been a journey, man. And it's right now it's at Wells Fargo Center, so it's like it's pretty cool.
Ladies and gentlemen, January 25th. That's 2 sleeps away at Wells Fargo. KM5, KnuckleMania 5, BKFC. Punch him out, Pat. Punch him out, Patrick the Brick Brady. My man.